All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the studio this evening where we're going to hopefully paint this lovely little piece of holly up there. A couple of nice red berries on there. Searching for the right word. This will be my last stream of 2023. So I'm hoping to make this a really good one for y'all. As always, I've pre-drawn that image on my sheet of paper here. My sheet of paper is Fabriano Studio watercolor paper. For this video, I'm going to be using my King Art paint brushes. This happens to be the 90-20 series. I've got a number of different sizes here, and over here to my right, my paints are M-gram paints, and by the look of them, they're a bit of a mess. I'd like to welcome everybody, like I said, and I'm going to dive right in, and I'm going to dive in by making a green, or I'm going to use a green, and we'll modify it a little bit. I'm going to start with a nice bit of my favorite Phthalo Green here. Anybody that's here, please feel free to speak up, say hello. I'd love to hear or read what people put into the chat. Part of what makes these live streams fun is that they are an interactive kind of a thing, and they can't be interactive if you guys don't contribute. So please feel free. I usually don't bite. Usually pretty friendly. Jacqueline is here. Good evening. Good evening. Great to see you again, Jacqueline. As I put in a little bit of color, I've got a couple of greens here. Right, I want to keep these a little cold, not super cold, but a little bit cold. So I'm okay using a bit of the Phthalo Green, which is a pretty cold green. It's a pretty stark, bright green. Also, I think if I'm going to mix it with a yellow to warm it up a little bit, I'm going to mix it with a little bit of new Gamboge, one of my favorite yellows that I have here. And I'm doing that. It's a nice warm yellow. I've done a little test on some of the yellows that I have here. A couple of the yellows. I tried it with yellow ochre. I tried it with my Azo Orange. I tried it with Hansa Yellow, which is very cold yellow on my palette. And I just thought these were kind of the most pleasing colors. So I'm going to drop this on a light coat. Actually, it's a little heavier than I really wanted to, but I can kind of, as long as I've got a wet edge and some water here, I can kind of play with this a little bit. Carrie is here. Hello, Merry Christmas, and Merry Christmas to you. And Dana is here. I am going to be back in 2024. I'm just taking a little break for the holidays to spend a little extra time with the family, take care of a few things around the house, but I definitely will be back in 2024. Excuse me, don't worry about that, or do worry about that, as the case may be. Oh no, he's coming back. Why? I definitely am going to be back in 2024. Let's see, I'm going to jump around a little bit. Find another leaf to do. I'm going to try to break out and do a few different things in 2024. I've done a bit. Natalie, hello. I've done a bit of plein air painting recently, and I found it quite enjoyable. I always thought it was, and maybe it's because I talked myself into it, I always thought it was a bit difficult. when when I say difficult, I mean, difficult. And I guess to some extent it is. But, since I've recently taken it up or retaken it up, I guess, as the case may be, I've kind of approached it with a slightly different attitude, and I've been having a bit of fun with it. And I want to try to figure a way to be able to include everybody in that. So I might try to do a live stream on a Saturday or a Sunday morning or early afternoon, kind of from my phone. I don't know how that's going to go over, but I'm willing to give that a try. And I'm going to try to do a few more traditional videos, but I'm going to do a bigger video and try to get a little bit more in depth into it. Specifically, I do a number of paintings, and I really get into them, and they take a long time to do. And I've got some already recorded, but I'm a little reluctant because the editing takes a long time. They're big. It's a lot to do, but I think I'm going to try to jump in and do a few of those. I got an example of what I'm going on about right over here that I'll grab in a second and show you all. We finish this and I'll show you. You're definitely missed when you don't have these. Oh, thank you, Natalie. I'm how do I respond? I'm happy to be missed. Is that right? I'm glad you missed me. No, I'm glad to be back on Wednesdays. It really does. It does my heart good to join in the community that we've developed here and have some fun and lighten my day on a Wednesday. It's a nice break to the middle of the week. I'm going to let this dry for just a second, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I started painting this, right, which is obviously a vulture head. And, okay, maybe it's a little grotesque, and they're not the most beautiful bird in the world. But I really sat down and took my time to do this, and this took me, with this portion of the head that I have done, this took me about an hour, maybe an hour and 20 minutes, really meticulous, getting into some of those little details and trying to make a little a correction here and a little correction there. And of course, you see, I haven't done any of the feathers over here. I'm probably only about halfway done with the head and the eye. But that would be a huge video to do. But I think, like I said, I think I can do a few of those. I'm hoping I can do a few of those. I think that'll be a kind of a fun addition to things, to see how those go. So I'm going to be back in 2024, and I'm going to do a few. I'm going to try a few things like that. Let me say that. Let's see. Jacqueline. Let's see. Natalie says, Jacqueline, you've been missed, and you have, and you weren't getting notifications because somehow your notifications get turned off. You busy with a new puppy? Ooh, King Charles Spaniel. Holy cow. Puppies are so much fun. I have a friend who brought his dog into work today. It's certainly not a King Charles Spaniel, not any kind of a Spaniel, but it's a German Shepherd mix, and she's not very old. but boy, is she fun to be around. She brings a lot of life to the place, and everybody loves to go and see her. Um, one of the one of the interesting things about her is that she doesn't do well on linoleum floors, which his office has. So I bought little booties. He bought little booties for her. So his dog walks around the office with 4 little booties on. So funny to see this dog walk around with these little booties on. Oops, I gotta move this up a little bit. King Charles, a Cavalier. Wait, tricolor Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. What is a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel? I believe I know what just a King Charles Spaniel is. When you add in Cavalier, what does that mean? Just mixing up a little bit more green here. And I don't want to get it too thick quite yet. And I could, right, before somebody asks, I could paint the whole thing green and then go back and try to differentiate different leaves after that. I think what I'm going to try to do is kind of how I had it in my mind to do this. And of course you could do it the other way too. Is each leaf I'm going to try to alter the color of this green just a little bit. So that each time I paint a leaf, it's slightly different than the leaf next to it. And maybe I won't have to do a whole lot of extra shading or coloring at the end, but we'll find out. Now this one, I do know, this one is behind this other leaf a little bit. So I'm going to grab a little bit of blue. I actually tried this with a little bit of red earlier, thinking, well, I'll just drop a little bit of red in there and it'll kind of make a decent shadow, push it to the back. It'll dull that color down, and it dulled it down for sure, but it just added a little different hue to it, a little different value, I guess I should say, to it. It didn't quite look right for something that needs to be pushed back a little bit. Longer snout, likely were originally during King Charles' reign, his favorite dog. Natalie, new granddaughter born on Monday morning. Yay! Congratulations. Congratulations. Do we have a name yet? First name only? Actually, you don't have to tell us a name. That's okay, too. I would totally be excited about that. Let's see. I'm going to come over here. Congrats. Absolutely congratulations. That's awesome news. See, I'm going to get in this little leaf here. I think, see, these contiguous, right? Contiguous. These two leaves that touch each other here are going to be just Teresa Ellen. Nice name. I like it. I like it. Teresa Ellen. Very good. But you know you're headed into colder territory, right? You must. I know you realize it, but I just want to put that out there. I know you've gotten a little used to a little warmer area. Colorado's heading into a little bit of a cold time of the year. Or possibly saying Tesla. That's funny. Um, I got a little story about going to some colder areas. I ran into my old boss, one of my old bosses, at the place I work at now, and he he's got a new granddaughter. His son lives in Minneapolis. Right, quite cold there. Thank goodness I still own a winter coat. You're not looking forward to wearing shoes. That's funny. He's got a new granddaughter in Minneapolis. His son and daughter-in-law live there. And he goes, well, I'm going to rent out my house and relocate up there. And I went, oh, that's cool. When are you going? April, May, sometime there? He goes, no, we're going to go in February. I went, you've been living here for 25 years. How are you going to do back in Minneapolis? Of all places, Minneapolis winter. Not that I have anything at all against Minneapolis, but I've been there. It's lovely, but it's cold. And he went, I will be wearing every stick of clothing I own. I kept my old parka from Chicago days. That's good foresight on keeping the parka. Excellent foresight on keeping that parka. I still have my parka from when I lived in the colder areas of the country. I tried to offer it to my son as it would fit him to wear around as he goes out. He's born and raised here in California, so he's not used to a whole lot of cold. And he was like, nah, I don't need it. I don't think he's ever put on a coat in his life. It goes for upstate New York days of 18 years ago. Woo! So then it's going to be thick. And it's going to be built for some cold weather. Well, anyways, congratulations. That's fantastic news. I know you're going to have a great time when you go there. And the little luck and a thick parka, you'll be able to keep warm. So I'm just continuing to put on some color onto these leaves. I will admit it's taken a little longer than I thought it was going to take, but that's okay. I don't mind that so much. I think that when we're done with this, it's going to turn out great. Having all these different colors in here. All the same basic colors, just different values of each in here. Let me cool this down a little bit more as we come out to the end out here. The other thing I'm really exploring, almost 30 years, I've acclimated to Arizona after almost 30 years. I would think you would acclimate to Arizona. I think it's easier to acclimate to Arizona because you're going to a warmer climate than it is to go the other way, because you can always cool down. And I'm assuming in Arizona you can always cool down. Everything has air conditioning, right? It has to, including your car, including your house, including every store you go into. But if you're in a cold area and you go somewhere, it's not necessarily going to be all that warm. And if you get into your car, it's going to take a long time to warm up. Your house oftentimes always feels a little cold. I think that's just kind of how it is in the winter. The house I grew up in, right? I grew up in Ohio. The house I grew up in, you don't miss the humidity. Ooh, yeah. All right. Fair point. That's a really good point. The house I grew up in Ohio, it didn't warm up all that quickly. It was an old farmhouse. When we lived there, the house was over 100 years old, and it still had the original windows in it, and the windows had the original glass in them. Okay? So you can imagine how old the glass is. You could kind of hit them a little bit and it would rattle a little bit, as old windows are often do. So in the winter, when the wind would blow, and I suppose it would happen in the summer too, but you didn't pay attention to it so much in the summer. But in the winter, you'd pull the blinds over your windows at night, and when the wind would blow, you could see the curtains move back and forth because they didn't quite stop all of the wind. As a result, I had a few really cold nights, but luckily we were kind of used to it. Okay, I'm painting around a few of these berries here. If you don't know what I'm doing, why I'm leaving this little bit of area, I'm doing a little bit of negative painting here. Get around these berries. And up here, towards the tip of this leaf, I want to make sure I leave it much lighter than the surrounding area, right? I might have to go back and darken the area behind it, but I want to have a lighter value next to a darker value. So it's going to stand out a little bit more. Look how much that stands out. It doesn't look unnatural. It doesn't look weird that it's light. But it's so light down here, it stands out. It looks like it's in front of it. Let's see. Natalie, you had a 200-year-old house in New York. You remodeled the whole thing yourself. Wow, all the window studs. Well, whew, that's a lot. You loved how the house smelled of old wood. I don't remember how smelling of old wood. That's interesting. It probably did. We did a lot of home renovations on that house ourselves. And when I say ourselves, what I mostly mean is my parents did it. I didn't do much of anything. I remember I came home from school one day. And there was a hole in the wall. Like, why? Who cut a hole in the wall to our house? Well, my father did. He got his chainsaw out, cut a hole in the wall, and put in a fireplace in one of the rooms. Built put the chimney in, put the fireplace in, built the chimney on the outside, made it look like it always was there, did all that work. But when I came home from school that one day, I didn't bother using the door. I just went right in through the hole in the wall. It was built in 1795. Wow. Let's see. Mine was built in 1880. I know 1880 because when I lived there in 1980, the house was 100 years old. And that's exactly how I know. Let's see, do I have another leaf? Oh shoot, look. Forgot this leaf comes over here. Oh, let's see if I can kind of match that color. One, two. Okay, that's all the leaves. I'm done with all the leaves. Susie's here. Hello, Susie. Were you here before? Did I see you on there before? It was a tiny farm community between Syracuse and Binghamton called Oxford. Sounds like a tiny little farm community. It's a nice name. Okay, let's do this. I've got this green here still. I'm gonna darken this a little bit. I'm gonna change the color of it a little bit because I'm gonna use this for the stem. I'm putting in a little bit of burnt umber and I'm putting in a little bit of yellow ochre. It's gonna lighten that up quite nicely, I believe. And I don't need it quite that thick. Let's see how it looks here. Coming down. Coming down. Do, 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 do. You know what else I like about the this Wednesday night? So often I'll be out here and I'll just kind of put my headphones on, listen to a podcast, and I don't even think about it. At some point, I'll take my headphones off, and I'm going, "Ow, my ears really hurt. What is going on?" Because I've been wearing the thing for so long. You missed the squeaky floors. I remember your pop replacing the storm windows from summer screens. I remember that. Did you have the floors? Our floors were so crooked, you could roll a marble and it would kind of just meander along the floor like this. They were, of course, hardwood floors. They would meander around, or they would just go zoop right to one corner of the house. Your dad helped you build a dark room in the coal bin. Wow, that'd be cool. You love old houses, but there's something to be said for not spending all your time and money keeping it from crumbling. Yeah, yeah. We had a. I'm gonna get a little red here. We had a coal chute to our house. We didn't burn coal for more than a couple of years, from what I can remember. And then my dad actually built our fireplace in the basement. So we had two fireplaces, one upstairs and one downstairs. He built the fireplace in the basement, and that was what we heated our whole house with. So we would throw wood down the old coal chute to get wood into the basement. That was kind of interesting. We had it stacked out beside the barn for most of the year, and then when we needed it, we'd haul it. We'd actually put it on a toboggan. How about this? We'd put it on a toboggan during the winter and haul it up to the house. And then you've got to get it and bend down, hunker down, and toss it into the coal chute to get it into the basement. That was kind of fun. Yeah, right. Remember old coal trucks, right? Yeah. Oh, but we can't have coal anymore. Coal's gone. Actually, for home heating, coal was probably always kind of a bad idea. It burns so hot. It burns so hot. It probably caused a lot of fires in a bunch of different places. Let's see. I'm just using Pyrrol Red here, and I'm trying to mostly stay within the lines of the berries that I've got drawn on here. Oh, that was the question I wanted to ask everybody today. Who's tarot kid at stacking wood? I I feel so bad about what we did. You wouldn't do this today, but we did it. We did it then, and didn't think a second thought about it. We had a barn in the back, and our barn was an old dairy barn. It was we weren't dairy farmers. The farm was gone long before we moved into the house, my family. But the barn was an L shape, and part of it had fallen kind of into disrepair. So we tore it down. We tore it down, and then we used all of that wood to heat our house with. All this super old, wonderful old growth, original growth wood. Right? The beams holding the barn up were true 12 by 12 dimensional lumber. These wonderful big old things. And we just kind of went, we'll use it to, we'll use it to heat the house this winter. We'll use it to do whatever. And I just think back and I go, oh my Lord, did we really do that? It was wonderful, beautiful wood. I said it wasn't a thing. Susie, both your grandfathers were coal miners. Coal mining was big in PA and West Virginia, all along that area. Yes, and Susie, you're right. We do still have quite a lot of energy producing coal mines, because it's a great way to make energy. It does put a lot of pollutants in carbon dioxide and whatever else into the atmosphere, and I understand why people are upset with it, but man, for a long time it was a great source of energy. See, I'm gonna do what I didn't do on the snow would look dirty from soot. Yeah. Yeah. Dirty, sooty snow. I totally remember dirty, sooty snow. Right? Where I grew up was not far from Youngstown, Ohio, one of the larger steel centers back in the day, anyways. It certainly isn't now. Everything's gone out, but I guess they were still there. A number of them were still there when I was still there, but I definitely remember a lot of dirty, sooty areas. It took years for it to really clean up pretty nicely. Hello, Liza. Liza's here. Oh, Liza is here. I didn't see you. Hello. Merry Christmas to you. Happy holidays. Liza, I'm glad you were able to make it today. Okay, here's my question for everybody today. And I'll tell you what spurned this question. Ugh, Youngstown. Oh, come on. here's my question. I don't know if I've asked this before, and if I have, I don't remember what everybody's answer is. Is it okay to leave your pencil lines on your drawing or on your painting, or do you feel the need to have to cover them up? I have a definite answer, but I'm curious what everybody else thinks. Who said ugh, Youngstown? Jacqueline. Ah, Jacqueline, come on. It's Youngstown. It wasn't that bad. A lot of good things came out of Youngstown. And some not so nice things, but that's okay. So I'm curious, what does everybody think? I'll tell you my answer when you want to know it. I draw this here. Narrow. There we go. And I got this little knot I've got to do. My oldest friends were from there. Youngstown's wonderful. The people are wonderful. I mean, I don't mean just them. There's lovely, wonderful people everywhere you go. I don't care if you go in the U.S., I don't care if you go abroad. There's lovely people everywhere. Jacqueline, you lighten yours as much as possible with a kneaded eraser. That's actually what I did today. There's mine. This one is Phthalo Blue free. I had to get a new one from last week. Natalie, you try to lighten them, but often still show. You figure that's because you're still an amateur. Okay. I'm going to see if I can dissuade you of that. Anybody else want to answer? And Dana, you try to erase them. Okay. All right. So the general consensus is everybody tries to lighten them. If you do lighten your pencil lines before you start painting. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, I do the same thing. And then a lot of the time I kick myself for it. Because I've looked at a lot of paintings. And it's so interesting when you look at a painting and you step back and you see what the painter, what the artist wanted you to see, and then you step forward and you see what they started with. And oftentimes it's such an interesting difference. And you can see where they stayed in the lines and where they didn't stay in the lines. And sometimes where they didn't stay in the lines is much more interesting than where they did stay in the lines. So I keep telling myself, the pencil line is a guide. It's not a must. And if you go outside of it, it's because I'm thinking there's a reason I go outside the lines, and I shouldn't necessarily try to hide them, because in the end, that line is just as much a part of your artwork as anything else. Right? Your artwork you wouldn't be able to do your artwork without those lines. Well, those of us who draw beforehand, there are a number of artists, of course, that don't. I don't know. I couldn't do that. Bicycle Repairman is here. Hello. Thank you for joining. I certainly don't think it has anything at all to do with being an amateur or being amateurish. Not one iota. If you look at some painters, I'm thinking right off the top of my head, I'm thinking like, um, oh God, his name just went out of my head. David Hockney, right? If any of you know who David Hockney is, watercolor painter. He did a number of different mediums also, but he's a very interesting watercolor artist. You see pencil lines all through a lot of his stuff. And who was the other guy? I had these names in my head before I started. Charles, I think both Charles Evans and Charles Reed. Also contemporary artists. If you look at theirs, a lot of pencil lines in their work. They don't try to hide with much control. Fact that you can see what their starting point was. Who else? Who else can you see a lot of pencil lines in? I'm trying to think. I think you can even see a number of pencil lines in Sargent. Sargent. What's his name? Sargent. Ah, William Singer Sargent. If you look at a number of his, now he's one of the OGs, right, of watercolor paint. I don't, I guess I don't mean to give a history lesson about watercolor painting. Although that would be kind of interesting too. Maybe I should do that. I've got a stack of books. Let's see. I've got 2 books here. How many? How many water? John Singer Sargent. See, thank you. Is that what I said? I don't even know. John Singer Sargent. 1, 2 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15 watercolor books over there. I must have more somewhere else. I it there are there are a few that definitely don't want the viewer to see what they've done, but I think there are equally as many that are just as happy to let you see behind the glass a little bit, or behind the curtain that little bit, to get an eye for what they've done or the amount of work that they've put in, how they've started it, and then maybe you can see some of the progression. Oh, if I'm not on the screen, you guys gotta tell me I'm trying. I'm trying. These are going to look a lot better when I get just a little bit of highlight on them. I know they're looking a little flat right now, but when I put a little highlight on these, they're going to pop right off of here. And who said, Bicycle Repairman says, Happy Yule and Solstice. This year, when is the solstice? Is that tomorrow, or is that Thursday? Tomorrow or Friday? It's the 21st. Oh, that is tomorrow. The solstice is tomorrow. Holy cow. I'm a, a little behind the times. Yes, happy winter solstice. I always try to wish people at work a happy winter solstice, and usually tomorrow, thank you, tomorrow. Usually I go out and say happy winter solstice to my starry friend Orion, who we see every winter as he comes along. I heard once that Sargent supported himself with the oil portraits of the rich and famous, but his personal self-expression in his watercolor paintings. It could be true. I don't know that. I wouldn't doubt it one bit. I wouldn't doubt it at all. There are just so many painters have loved the look, the feel, the play of the water, the lack of control, dealing with all of that you get in watercolors. But watercolors aren't saleable, or traditionally haven't been as saleable as oil paintings are. You know, they're much more ethereal, and so you can never charge as much for them as such. A lot of artists didn't do them professionally, and so you got a lot of that where you didn't get to see a whole lot of their expression of things. You didn't see so much of what they liked to do behind the scenes because they were so focused and had to be focused on making a living for themselves, which really is a bit of a shame when you think of it. Totally understandable, but completely a shame. I love the look of the line and wash paintings Peter Sheeler does. Yeah. Yeah. If I'm thinking Peter Sheeler is who I'm thinking he is, he does stuff on YouTube. Does he not? Or he used to, if he doesn't anymore. And he'll draw it in pen. Do I have this right? He will draw it in pen, and then with like 2 or 3 or 4 colors, he'll go back over real lightly and paint over top. Am I thinking of the right guy? I think I'm thinking of the right guy. Hope I'm thinking of the right guy. Yes, he's still okay. Good. So yeah, I'm thinking of the right guy. Yeah, he. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of pen and wash, um, but his is really good. His is really good. The one guy I do like, I would call it pen and wash, but it's a lot more wash and a lot weirder pen. If you want to check him out, is Ian Fennelly. Yeah, he's the artist. Yeah, Ian Fennelly will draw in, you know, with a pen or with whatever. He'll draw stuff, and then he will he draws all these crazy. He can't. I don't know if he's not able to or he's not willing to draw anything with a straight line. So all of his houses are all contorted over this way, and I don't know, they mushroom out or they go in or something like that. He ends up with these really interesting shapes, and then he puts these weird colors on them, and somehow it all works out. Turner supported himself with watercolor paintings. They're kept in the dark except for special occasions. So I'm not saying you couldn't. Yeah, Turner, I think John Singer Sargent likely would have been an exception to the rule too. I think. Um, some of them are some of those old uh, artists were just spectacular and kind of deserved their own place because they were so good at what they did and they had such a handle on how they did it. I'm always shocked when I look at a John Singer Sargent um, painting because he was able to accomplish so much in his paintings with such a brevity of brushstrokes, right? He just had so much confidence and so much knowledge of, and I'm sure a lot of experience to go with it, as to what colors needed to go where at what value. And he just did it, and it turned out spectacularly. A conservation of brushstrokes and just turned into master works. Okay, I'm having a little trouble here with my moisture content. It's getting a little, I don't know if it's the brush or it's me or it's the humidity in here or what it is. Of course it's me. I'll take the blame for it, but I'm having a little issue with getting some moisture out of here. Natalie, you think you saw Ian Fennelly do some plein air stuff? He's unbelievable. I took one course of his. Somehow I had a free course or through some group I was associated with. I got to take one course of his. And he just blasted through this thing, and I was left going, I'm not exactly sure. I watched you do it. I know you did it. I tried to do it along with you, and his was so much better. I was completely shocked and awed about how good it was. Oh, that's not a bad ribbon. All right, I like that. Okay. I've been babbling on and carrying on, and we need to do something with these leaves. They look flat right now. Who are discussing? Who are we discussing yet? A puppy potty break? Oh, we're discussing some really interesting, fun, frankly, unbelievably talented artists. We talked about, of course, John Singer Sargent was in there. We talked about Ian Fennelly. We talked about Peter Sheeler. I don't know who else we talked about. Oh, here's the. Do any of you know Gary Tucker? I'm convinced now. So Gary Tucker is an interesting guy. Oh, he was on the Urban Sketchers channel a month ago or so. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that would have been him. I said, well, one of the things that made John Singer Sargent so interesting was that he paints with a minimum of brushstrokes. And I don't know that he necessarily tries to do that. It just works out that way for him. I think, because he really knows what he's doing. Gary Tucker, and you can watch Gary on YouTube here. I think he's kind of stopped doing watercolors for the moment, and he's doing. Last I saw, he was just doing drawings, which I thought was odd, but that's okay. He doesn't do a drawing beforehand, and I swear one of the things he wants to do is do as much painting as he wants to touch the page as much as possible. He wants to make as many marks with his brush as he possibly can, and that's kind of one of the hallmarks of his painting style. Turner's one of your all-time favorites. If you're into watercolors, I don't know how he couldn't be. Actually, maybe if you're just into art in general, he was just super, super talented. I don't like the way that looks at all. Not at all. Let's see if I can get some of that blue out of there. It's such a dark line. I don't think I'm going to be able to get that out. Okay, that's fine. Fine. That's fine. I'm going to do this. Get a little different green here. Brighten this up. Right there. And I'm gonna come down here a little bit. I'm just gonna do part of this leaf in this bright color down here. Just part of it. There. There's a little bit of a bend maybe in this leaf down here. There we go. Now we're talking. Oh, that's what I want to see, is that kind of stuff. Gary Tucker, you've seen. Jacqueline, how would you describe Gary Tucker? To me, Gary likes to put on a lot. He likes to touch the paper as much as possible, I'm convinced. I can't see that he doesn't like to do that. He'll put on 50 layers on a painting, all super, super light. And his paintings look fantastic. I don't want to say they don't at all, because they really do. But half the time I'm like, holy cow. That's a lot of work to get to that. A little bit of this darker color over here. Am I right? I might not be. Gary, I don't know. It's funny. I know. I wouldn't say I know. Like, I'm buddies with a lot of watercolor painters or whatnot, but a lot of painters on YouTube I've reached out to and just gone, hey, can I ask you a question about this, or can I talk to you about that? And to most of their credit, most of them are always like, yeah, I'm happy to talk about how I paint or why I paint or, whatever. Gary, I've never tried to reach out and talk to, and I kind of always wished I would have. I guess I still can. He's still alive. Like, he's not available. I just haven't tried to do that in a long time. And I don't always try to do it because I think I want to get anything from them, or I'm not trying to get them, on a stream or anything like that. I just want to talk to them because I think watercolor artists are pretty interesting people. Jacqueline, you do a lot of layers like him too. Like him? Do you well, you must. You said you draw and you try to minimize your pencil lines, so you must do some pre-drawing also. Let's see. As I'm talking, I'm trying to hurry through this a little bit. I promise. I'm trying to just get some variation on these leaves. I guess I probably should have tried to do a little bit more of this right off the get-go. But, better late than never at all. So we'll do this. And with some of these varying colors here, then we'll start to develop more interesting. Gary posted a couple of watercolor tutorials in the last. Oh, he did? Okay, ooh, that's great. Jacqueline, you're in awe of his painting style. Yes, he has. He he's he's an interesting dude to watch. I and and when I say interesting, I don't mean that in a bad way. His I don't know anybody that paints like him. Um, Looks beautiful as a. Oh, Vice Square Pyramid, you have to go. Okay. Well, thank you for stopping by. I'm glad you can be part of the stream. I hope you can stop by another time if you're not gone yet. I'm going to be doing, this might help you out a little bit more. I'm going to be doing some multi streaming next year here and on Twitch at the same time. So I'll be on Twitch on Wednesdays at least. I'm going to try to be on some other times as well, but at least on Wednesdays to get both platforms in. And I don't know if I'll be doing other stuff on Twitch or not, but I know I hear you are always busy. I get it. I totally get it. No apologies needed. Look, I'm happy to have you stop by. It's fantastic to see you again. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season, and we'll catch up as we're able. So, all good. Thanks for stopping by. See, I'm trying to look to see what I want to do here. Let me come over to this one over here. Oh, let's do a little bit of color up here. I used to watch. There were two guys really that I sounds good. YouTube. Okay, awesome. Have a wonderful evening. There were two people I used to watch a lot of on YouTube, and I think I've told you guys before. I don't watch all that much YouTube anymore. Just I'm busier. I've got my job is different. When I come home, my kids are older, and I just have other things to do. It's totally fine. But the two that I used to watch were, one was Gary Tucker. Again, he's an unbelievable artist, and the other was Tim Wilmot. And if you've never seen Tim paint, Tim is much more impressionist. He's very much an impressionist. I guess Gary Tucker's somewhat of an impressionist too, but Tim is much more of a traditional impressionist painter, and he does it. It always appears to me that he tries to paint with a limited number of brush strokes also, and so he's continually trying to build detail and trick your eye by only adding color at certain points in certain areas, and a little bit here and a little bit there, and a line here and an extra dot over there. And in the end, he's got a painting that you go, that's really cool. Jacqueline, you've never been able to join. Always glitches. That's okay. It's good that you're here now. I'm happy that you're here. I'm thankful that you're able to make it when you are able to make it. It's all good. The fact that you aren't able to make it sometimes, stuff happens, right? Stuff happens. If everything was perfect, life would be boring. So if you're able to make it now, we'll make the best of it while you're here, and we'll go on from there. And then the next time you're here, we'll make it the next best time. Eric Lundgren. He's of course, the name kind of gives it away. He's Swedish. Is he Swedish? If he's the guy I'm thinking of, he's really good. And he's fast. He's a fast painter too. Some of these guys, I haven't quite figured out how they do it. Ooh, that's got a nice gradient on that one. You almost can see that it's maybe bent a little bit. I'm going to put in a little vein in here. That'll help with the illusion of that being bent just a little bit around that one. So I like the way that one's looking. I really like the way that one's looking. This is going to be a little colder over here. I put that Ultramarine Blue on where over here. I didn't like it, so I'm going to mix a little bit of Cerulean Blue over here. A different value, right? Different temperature. I think that Ultramarine Blue is just maybe a little too warm for this. Maybe we get a little bit of a darker color in here. Maybe we'll do a little better with it. Let's see. It's a kind of a richer green in there, I think. That looks better. I think that looks better. Hey, don't you think that looks a little better than the other one? I think so. Better than the ultramarine is what I'm talking about. Oh, much better. Draws everything, uses only minimal color palette. Who? Oh, Eric Lundgren. I think I only know of the one guy that I've seen do that minimal color palette. That's what's throwing me. I'm trying to think. I saw him paint some. Again, if it's the guy I'm thinking of, I saw him paint some castle outdoor. He did it plein air. He did it from a picture, but he was painting plein air. And oh, I like that one. That one looks bent. That one's twisted over right there. See, this one's kind of back in the back here. We'll put some of this blue on it. It'll push it back a little bit. And then it's going to come out of there. We'll give it some of this yellow as it starts to work its way out from behind. Oh, Twitch is glitchy for you too. Can't ever get the sound to work. Interesting. Sometimes technology is just terrible. Just know. Jacqueline, you can't even get into Twitch. Oh, that's not good. Let's see. I want to. Oop, that's too bright. Let's color this down a little bit. I'm not sure exactly what side my shadow is on. We're going to figure it out right here. Come on, cold. Give me this color. Little cold blue right underneath there. got a bit of a shadow. This one I feel as though I've been really turning this around a lot, and I feel badly to some extent. I always turn my page quite a bit. I don't necessarily mean to do that. Let's see, I got some. This is probably the green stem right in here. Greenish. Am I missing anything up here? Tried so many times. Jacqueline. So many troubles. I will say, I do feel for you. It seems like I have trouble with Twitch from time to time. With YouTube, I just kind of log in, and it works. And Twitch has got to send me a one-time password, and then every time I log in, I've got to do it again and again, and half the time I've got to do it a second time. it's there's a little bit more to it, and it's not always an enjoyable experience for sure. I totally understand that. And that's part of the reason why I want to come back, why I came back here and do it a live stream here, is because this is where I started, and I thought it would be an easy transition over there and things would go well, and it didn't really. And so, like I said, I do feel badly for everybody who has a hard time getting in over there. So I did want to come back here and do everything I can to help the people here on YouTube that have stuck with me. And so when everybody goes, why are you here or why are you there? It's because I started here and everybody was so nice and helped me out so much over here that I feel, I don't know if obligated is exactly the right word, but I feel like I want to do right by all of my YouTube watchers that have hung with me over the years. That one got a bit thick. You finally gave up because it wasn't friendly. I get it. I totally get it. I think tonight, not having the best touch tonight. That's okay. Let's get a couple of these on here. Let's see. This one is gonna up from there. Now I want to get one even smaller than this. What this is? This says this is a 4. Drop down to a 2. I want to give a couple of even smaller other veins off of some of these. I'm going to kind of do them all in one direction first because it's kind of easier. I'm going to go back and do them all in the other direction. Feel like, is anybody still there? I hope somebody's still there. It is one weird thing about doing a live stream is I can be talking away and looking around, and I look up, and either the either the chat has scrolled 15 times, and I'm going, oh my lord, I got to catch up now, or I look up and it hasn't moved at all, and I go, oh, did I lose connection and didn't notice again? What has happened? I feel like I'm doing a lot of babbling tonight. Susie, the holiday looks great. Thank you. I think I say that a lot, don't I? I just feel like I'm just babbling on about a lot of stuff tonight. Probably I am most nights. I guess that's okay. Let's get one there. Ooh, okay. So with those whoops. So with those veins, I think those are starting to look pretty good, or better anyways. Starting to look better. Let's give a little extra attention to our bow here. I like some of it. Not convinced I'm wild about all of it. I want to try to put in, like, I don't know, like a couple little pleats in here where it's getting pinched together as it comes in. Crickets, right? Crickets. Come on, give me, I know I got a tiny little brush. Give me a little bit of something to work with here. How is this looking? I actually think it looks a little better. Right up until there, where I just kind of went outside the line. I'm going to do my favorite thing now, my new favorite thing. I just looked, I've got some, I didn't realize these berries had like little nubs on the ends of them. Put a couple of dots on these. And then I'm going to put a couple of highlights on them. And with any luck, they're going to come to life a little bit. And yes, I know how the song goes. If I want to bring some life into them, I've got to find this old silk hat and put it on their head, and then it's going to want to dance around the town. I do really like this new wash that I've got. It does go on nicely, and it's much thicker, much nicer than the other stuff that I had. A little bit here. Maybe something Oh, I forgot a couple of lines over here. Okay, there we go. All right, those couple of little dots here and there. I think served to help out quite a bit. And the only other thing I was gonna do, it looks great. Thank you, Liza. The only other thing I was gonna do is I was gonna get some of this dark color, and I was gonna, because to me these holly always have like these little spines on the end, right? And on a number of these, I was just going to paint those little spines on there, and I think I can do that just with a dab of paint, maybe just ever so slight blending it in, and it'll give it that little sharp look right on the end of these. That's kind of missing because I didn't use the paintbrush with the biggest or the sharpest point on it. There we go. Can you see these little ones here all of a sudden? Oh, they look like their little points are gonna jab into you. One of the hallmarks I always think of that holly has are those little tiny jabby points. I have to say, I'm going to say this. I walked into my local grocery store here. Wait, I used bleed proof white. I don't know what bleed proof white is. I just got this. I bought myself an early Christmas present. It's Winsor Newton white gouache. This is better than the white gouache I had before, which was really poor. I think I was saying I went into my local grocery store here. Son and I ran up there about an hour before I started this live stream, and we went up to get him some orange juice because he thought he wanted some orange juice, and fine, I'm happy to get you some orange juice. But we had to walk past all these holly plants. They're all sitting out there, and they're all dead and dying. They're all dried up, and I was like, oh man, how sad is that? They're not going to get to fulfill their Christmas destiny being holly at somebody's house. It's in a jar. Is it ink? Bleed proof. Just for portraits. The spot in eyes. Oh, the little. Oh, interesting. It's in a jar. Is it a waterproof ink? Or is it a paint? I'm curious now. Because I have seen white ink. I haven't used any, but I have seen white ink before, and I could see where that would be like super helpful. That, or for portraits, or like the white of your eye. It's like pretty. It's like Martian's bleed proof white. It's opaque. Oh, PH Martins. Oh, PH Martins. Oh, okay. Okay. I know PH Martin's. Interesting. Okay, there we go. Look at all the little jaggers on there now. I actually think that helps quite a bit. It just puts those little points on there, which one of the hallmarks of holly is those all those little tiny points. I totally think that makes it look better. Okay. Um, it's a watercolor, but not for mixing. Dr. P.H. Martin's right. Yep. Okay, so let's do this. I think I'm about done with this. I'm going to sign it and call it done. I'm going to sign it over here. Leaves are not my forte, as you can tell. I don't think they're bad. I think others do a better job with them than I do. I do like they've got some life to them. I'm going to point with. Oh man, phthalo blue on everything. Um, like this leaf here has some definite interest in it. I like this one. To me, there's a definite front and back. These two at the bottom here, I really like these two. This one definitely behind that one. Again, here it's definitely behind these other two. Much brighter, much more in front. I tried to get a gradient on some, so it gave them a little bit more life. Again, I'm not the best with leaves. I thought I'd do a little bit better than these. But that's okay. The berries, I like the berries. Um, if I It's funny some nights if I look up at the monitor, parts of it have a lot of life, and if I look down at my page down here, other parts have a little life. Um, so if I look at these on the page here, I think they look great. They have little red rings around them and a lighter spot, and then the white on top. Greatest dry layers. That's true. I'm all for pushing the color and having gradient differences in there. I really like that. I think I accomplished that here. I probably should have pushed it a little bit more in some other places. But I think where I struggle is across any individual leaf. It's a little tough. I haven't quite figured it out. The bow, I think, I actually like the bow where I added this little bit of dark here and a little bit of dark here. I think it makes it look like the fabric crinkles a little bit as it goes into the knot that's here and then the fabric coming out. I like the dark and the dark and the dark and then the light next to it. I think it gives that ribbon a bit of life. If I had anything, I'd grade that ribbon higher than just about anything. So that's my self-critique. I don't want to be too hard on myself. I think it's a fun painting. Try and get all of it in there. I honestly I enjoyed painting it. I enjoyed talking to you all while I did it. You never know where to sign. Is there a general recommendation? Yeah, on the front. Sometimes, right here and here, there's a big opening, and you're right. Sometimes there's not a good place. Lower left-hand corner, I guess generally I've been told is a better place than anywhere else, but it's a suggestion, not a rule by any stretch. I've seen paintings signed. I've seen them signed up at the top, like a school paper. I kind of pick where I think it needs to go best down at the bottom somewhere. I don't think it really matters. Michael, do you have any ideas on what you will paint in the new year? It's a great question. No. If you have any suggestions, I'll take suggestions. I'm going to try to do a few more birds. I love painting birds, and I've kind of gotten away from that. So I'll probably do some birds. I'll probably do some landscapes. I'm going to try. I don't know that I'm going to do it on YouTube because it'll have to span. Larry's new code word for layers. Larry's the new code word for layers. Because it would span multiple 1 hour sessions. It would be to do some mashups. I love painting mashups. Mashups are fun to do, but typically I either do them a little bit bigger or a little bit more intricate, and they typically take a little bit longer. I was going to do a series of animals with human limbs, right? Dogs, cats, horses, cows, all with human arms and legs. I thought that would be a funny thing to do. But again, I don't know that that's something I want to do on a live stream on a Wednesday night because it would take so long. But Liza, if you have any suggestions, send them through, and I'm happy to do it. Thank you, Michael. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you. Thank you, Susie. Same to you. Liza, Merry Christmas, Susie, and everyone. I don't have my progressive lenses. My fingers are hurting. I don't have my readers on. I need progressives because this is one length and that's a different length, and I can't wear either to be able to see it. Okay, that's all I've got for you guys. If you want to see something specific, you can put it in the comment down below. You can email me, get a hold of me somehow, and I'm not promising I'll do it, but I'll certainly take it into consideration. I love a challenge, and I don't know. We'll go from there. I'll make some announcements on the comments section where I post what we're going to do this week and whatnot, and we'll move forward from there. Oh, don't forget, next year when we start, we're going to be at 7 instead of 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. We'll move it up by an hour, make things a little easier for me on the back end, and hopefully everybody who's joining from the Eastern time zone in the U.S. is have a little easier time. So to everybody who's here, Natalie, Jacqueline, Eliza, Susie. Oh, let me scroll up, see who was here. I'm gonna miss so many people. I don't have any idea. I know there's a few. Bicycle Repairman. Well, quickly trying to go. Dana, who's here. Anybody else who's here staying around and I didn't get to you, I'm sorry, but thank you for joining and helping to make my Wednesday evening enjoyable. Have a happy holiday season. Merry Christmas to you all. And we'll catch you back here on the first Wednesday of the new year. Until then, thank you so much. Enjoy your vacation or your vacation, your holiday. Bye-bye.